Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Viva Connections and SharePoint Framework bi-weekly sync. Today is September the 5th, 2024, and I am your host. My name is Gary Trinder. I am a developer advocate at Microsoft, focusing on M365, Microsoft Copilot as well. So today, what we have in store for you is, as usual, latest update on SharePoint Framework, and then we'll run through all the amazing community project updates. We will then have picture time. So if you want to get involved in together mode, make sure you get your camera turned on. And then we'll get on to our demos for today. So we have two demos. So we have our first pairing. Welcome to Deandra and Nicole. And we have then our second demo. We have Marcin following up with another session, both going to be covering SharePoint Framework. So if SharePoint Framework is your thing, definitely stay along for these amazing demos. If you are new to the community, there's a ton of resources that are available to you. We have videos, we have group discussions, we have open source projects, we have sample galleries as well, so people sharing all the amazing things that they've been building. All this is available through one link, and one link to remember is aka.ms/community/home. It will give you access to all these amazing resources, all produced by the amazing community, and continue to be maintained and added to over and over again. So if you are you're not included in any of these areas or members of the communities, make sure you take a look today and go and sign up. Talking of resources as well, we have a new YouTube channel. This is the Microsoft Community Learning channel. So if you're looking for videos, recordings of these community calls, individual demos by Microsoft speakers and community speakers as well, then this is the place for you. Make sure you go along, subscribe, and you'll get the notifications of all new videos that arrive, and they arrive on a weekly basis. So if you want to go check that out, go to aka.ms/community/YouTube. And we have other calls available as well. So we have multiple calls during the week. We have a Microsoft 365 and Power Platform call as well. So if you're doing Power Platform things, that might be useful for you as well. We have Office add-ins. We also have this call. But to find out all about these individual calls, get all of the invites and schedules as well, go to aka.ms/community/calls. You'll see all of the times and dates of when these calls actually take place, and be able to add them to your calendar and make it nice and easy for you to join. So next week we have, I think this is our first call back as well, the first Tuesday call back after the summer break. But we have demos from Anshul Jethwani and our very own Vesa Juvonen. So we have a lot of Copilot content here as well, and Viva Aces content. So if that's interesting you as well, next Tuesday, 10th of September, is the time to be on the call. And if you'd like to come and present on this call as well, we would love for you to get in touch. Everyone is welcome, whether you've done, calls in the past, whether it's the first time you are presenting, everyone is welcome. We have a form, so if you have something to share with the community, you think, this might be useful, go to aka.ms/community/request/demo, fill out the form, and we will get you booked in to one of these amazing calls for you to share what you've been working on. David, over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Gary. Well, I've got something to sell you all. That's right. But it's absolutely free, and it is our Sharing is Caring program. It is back, and we are live and up and running with our sessions. And what are these sessions? Well, they are live and hands-on opportunities for us to collaborate and learn how to contribute to the community. So, for example, on September 30th, we've got our samples contributor session. How are you going to contribute a sample to the community? Well, you're going to do it via GitHub. And if you don't know what GitHub is, come join us. We'll teach you. You're going to create a pull request, which is how you make contributions happen in our sample repositories. It is free. It is a safe space space, and it's an opportunity for you to ask any and all questions without the fear of it being recorded and live to the world or anything like that. We're going to collaborate, we're going to be hands-on, and we're going to work through contributions together. And guess what? You're going to get a badge for it. So go sign up, aka.ms/sharingiscaring, September 30th, 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. And then, of course, when we go to the next slide, you're going to get recognized for that amazing work that you're doing, and that is using our recognition program. That recognition program is absolutely free. It is powered by Credly, so you get those accredited and official badges that you can associate to your LinkedIn profile, to your Twitter account, to your resume, to your blog, put it on everything, put it on the cards at the end of the year, let mom know she's proud, we know we are. And guess what? It's September, and that means it's Promptember. So you can get in on our prompt repos for Copilot and Power Platform, and you get a special Prompt Pro badge and the one-time limited-only Promptember during the month of September. And if you get all three, you can get in on Promptober. So absolutely free. Opt in, aka.ms/community/recognition. If you're already opted in, all right, all you got to do is start contributing. Gary, back to you.
Thank you very much, David. So, right, let's move on to our updates. And first up, SharePoint Framework. Vesa,
Excellent. Quick recap in here. We mentioned public preview already 2 weeks ago, and that was just released at that time, I think on that day even. The release candidate is coming next week. We haven't actually found that many issues with this one. The key functionalities there, I think, are explained in the following slide. So we're still focusing a lot of, if you go to the following slide, if we move, there we go. Oh, now we went more. One back. Left, right, one back. There we go. Excellent. So 1.20 is primarily about Microsoft Viva Connection. Now, these cards will have multiple other purposes in the future as well, and I will show you a teaser in a second. But the cards are more right now. 120 is SPFx with cards and focusing on cards. Right now, more on Viva Connection as a data visualization components, and then bring your own quick view, which is something what I'm going to demo next Tuesday, which is really, really cool feature. Now, if you go to the following slide, just to recap on where we are, again, 1.19 is the current general availability. 120 is coming GA in September. Yes, we will still make a GA in September, which is great. And then we're looking into having a lot of cool capabilities in the future. Among other things is the card vet part. So you can actually use these cards directly, dynamically in SharePoint without the Viva Connection if you don't want to use Viva Connection. And then there's a SPFX powered SP hosted apps, which is a really cool thing, and SPFX and Copilot integration scenarios. So let's go to the following slide. This is an early teaser, a bit updated teaser on what I'm looking into doing with Copilot. So we know that we have thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and actually millions of end users for SPFX. I can still see the SPFX roadmap slide though.
Oh, let me try it again.
There we go.
Bit of a delay.
Now I can see the roadmap slide again.
It'll change.
This is weird.
It's changing for me. I'm moving the slides.
I think Teams is having a day.
Teams clearly is having a day. Okay, anyway, so we're looking into, so we do have tens of millions of monthly active users for SPFX extensibility. In future, you can actually use SPFX to build the most simplest and easiest way to extend the Copilot as well. So you will, as you bet on, or if you have bet on SPFX, all of that will be still relevant in the future as well. So you are able to do Copilot extensibility with SPFX and ACES and all of that stuff, and that will work in the Microsoft 365 Copilot, also in ODSP or SharePoint Copilot, and all of these Copilots which will be coming out in the future as well. So that's really, really cool. Something which we will are looking into going to public preview potentially in Ignite 2024. More details, all of this a bit later. But that's a quick intro and recap on the roadmap from my side. I'm sorry for taking a few more extra minutes, but I think we have only do 2 demos today, so we should be fine.
Yep. Right.
Cool
Thank
stuff.
you very much, Vesa. Right. Okay. Let's move on to our open source projects. Let's get all the latest updates. So what we also have in the community is our Copilot prompts. So we have a community prompt library, which we absolutely welcome you to submit your own prompts. If you're using Copilot, so whether that's Microsoft Copilot or that's Copilot for Microsoft 365, if you're using something, share that with others, and then hopefully that will help others, and we'll build much better prompts, be able to use more of these AI features, and be more productive in our work. So we have our prompt of the week. Thank you to Guillermo Bass, who has submitted a prompt around guidance for accountants in finance departments. So if that is something that's interesting you, then go check that out. Go to aka.ms/pmp-prompt-library. And then you can find out all the other prompts that people have submitted as part of the library. Okay, moving on to PMPGIS. Julie.
Yeah, thank you, Gary. Version 4.5 will be released September 16th. So far, there's no bugs to fix, so this will just be documentation and package version updates. We do have that release. It was supposed to be done last time, but the update wasn't ready. So we'll have what I think will be our final version 3 release, 3.26 on September 16th, to add that improvement for alias parameter parsing. So again, like I said, probably the last version 3 update we'll do. We guess about 6 months we'll support it. That would be October. So I think likely that'll be our last V3, update. And so don't forget about nightly builds. For V4, those are at PMP SP at V4 nightly. So any PR that gets merged in, but we haven't released a new version, those merged PRs will be in our V4 nightly build, so you can check them out early. And as usual, follow us mostly on LinkedIn. The M365 platform community is where we post all our updates to keep you informed. That's all I have there. Gary, back to you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Julie. Okay, moving on to CLI for Microsoft 365. We have another major version release. This is hot on the heels of version 8 that we released not so long back. So why the reason for another major update? Well, this is to accommodate the change in authentication. If you've been using PMP PowerShell, you may have noticed the announcements around the change in authentication using the shared app registration. Now with version 9, you have to use your own app registration. That's the reason for the major change. We've introduced an update to our M365 setup command to make that easy for you. So if you have the Azure CLI installed on your machine and that is connected to your tenant, then the CLI will use that to generate the app registration for you for your single tenant use. So we want to make that really easy for you. So definitely check that out, but you need to make sure that if you're moving to this V9 that you make that first step. But we've also added some updates as well. So we've got new commands for Enter ID, for OneNote, SharePoint Embedded, SharePoint Online, Microsoft Teams as well. Along with lots of other enhancements, bug fixes. If you want to find out all the individual details of those changes, go to aka.ms/CLI /CLI-M365/notes. You get all the details in there. If you want to use the latest version, you can get that from npm or Docker. Just use our @latest tag to get that V9. If you have any questions around the changes that we've made, then the best place to do that is to join our Discord server, ask questions in there, and our community and group of maintainers will do our best to help you out. So to join our Discord server, go to aka.ms/CLI-M365/Discord. And yeah, it'd be great to talk to you in there. Moving on to DevProxy, we have a new release of DevProxy. This is a version 0.20.1. This release has made some enhancements to things that we've already had. So you can use DevProxy to simulate random API errors, and previously that was a collection of errors that would be thrown for any request that was sent to a particular host name. Now you can do matching on specific URLs as well, so you can get really fine control over what errors can be returned for different endpoints. We've made some enhancements to detecting minimal permissions as well. We've got a new API, so you can control Dev Proxy remotely, which we're really interested in seeing how people can use that for different scenarios, like in CI/CD scenarios as well. Some useful commands for getting to your current Dev Proxy configuration as well. And we've had a change to the base layer of Dev Proxy. So the package that we use was Titanium. We've changed that to use a new version called Unobtainium, which is supported and maintained by one of our MVPs, Stefan van Rooij, who has helped us basically improve Dev Proxy. So we're really happy with Stefan's contribution. We'd love to thank him. We would also like to thank you, Matteo and Marco as well, who have also contributed to Dev Proxy for this release. And alongside this release, we've also updated our Dev Proxy toolkit, which is our VS Code extension. So that's now 0.7. So you get the latest updates. There are going to be more enhancements coming to the toolkit now that we have our API as well to control Dev Proxy. So look out for new enhancements that are going to be coming for that. Okay, moving on to reusable SPFx controls. I believe, Joel, are you on the call?
I don't think Joel made it, so take it away.
I'll take it away. Cool, that's fine. Okay, so reusable SPFx controls. So we have the 3.19 release, which supports SharePoint Framework 1.19. And we also have React Property Controls 3.18, which again supports SharePoint Framework 1.19. Thank you to all the contributors that are listed. If you want to go find out more information about these controls, use them in your own projects. Don't reinvent the wheel. Generally, these tools and controls will be brilliant for you to just use in your projects. Go to the Twitter account M365PMP Controls and go to the websites as well, and you'll get all the information on how to use these. SharePoint Framework Toolkit. Adam.
Yeah, so hi everybody. SPFx Toolkit is a VS Code extension that will boost your SPFx development extensively, and we are already ready for the next minor release, but sorry for postponing it and being a bit less active. We are really doing our best to address the changes that will come on the 9th of September, and now, as Gary mentioned, CLI for Microsoft 365 is already ready to help you get started with this new login experience, and now we are doing our best to made it before the deadline for the SPFx toolkit, and it's still work in progress, but be advised that we are planning to finish it on the date. So it's not something you need to do before. It's just the login experience will change after 9th of September. And now, besides being a single step, just click a single click and log in. Now it will be a two-step kind of thing, where the first step will give you a single tenant app registry, and then the second step will log you. Sign you in over this single tenant app registry that was created in the previous step. And this will for sure increase your security and give you a dedicated app registration with tailored scope permissions only for this toolkit. So really awesome. And be sure to be lookout on those updates, and more guidance and movies also for the CLI for Microsoft will show up on the coming days. Okay, happy coding everybody, and back to you, Gary.
Thanks, Adam. Apologies, everyone, if you're having struggles with the slides. I am changing them as we go along. Casper for Modern Search.
Thank you, Gary. We had a new release early this week. The funny versioning is because we had an issue with the DOM purifier. It was a bit too aggressive, so we had to make an additional .1 release. But this one is pretty well tested and stable, and we have updated the documentation quite extensively, and also added a Q&A section, because there's been a lot of people who's been starting using Microsoft Search rather than SharePoint Search, and there has been a lot of questions related to that, because that is not really all that stable for most cases. So this is an update there, so go have a look at that. And then we had some additional contributors, and we have a small thing perhaps, but for Irish people that's a big thing. that we actually support now that we can have an SPF in the email address, and still these people cards will work. And we had a really great contribution from Joseph who is on the list there. He made a sort of like a module that will actually check your layouts to make sure that they comply as far as the slots goes and selected properties, which will make it a lot easier to make your own layouts, because debugging can be quite a hassle if you don't really know where the issue is. And then finally, we had an update to how tags or management data fields are displayed out of the box. That's the last one you see on that page. So yeah, there's a number of good contributions, and the next month or so, it will be primarily based on how we can make Microsoft Search work better out of the box. So yeah, go have a look at it and have an upgrade to the latest version. Back to you, Gary.
Thank you very much, Casper. And PMP SPFx samples, David.
Yes, so we've got a little bit of a dual story here between the SPFx samples and the ACEs. We have no new samples, but we want samples and we love samples. So please, Hugo is processing whichever is already in the queue. So don't worry about that. Those are in process. And Anub had said he will be bringing out a couple of new React samples soon with HTML quick views. So we're excited for that. You can always check out all of these at aka.ms/community/samples, along with the other samples repositories directly for SPFx web parts extensions and ACEs. And with that, I think it is a little bit time for picture time, I think, right? So let's get those cameras turned on. Together mode should be on. And so if you get that camera shared, we can, let's see here. I will take over the screen share. Maybe this will hit in the head a little bit for Teams. So there we go. Looking great, looking great. Yeah, woo, all right. Looking pretty clear too. Nobody's in the witness protection program this week, so excellent. Let's give it just a moment. Close the chat so we can get that as big as possible. A couple more seats available for anybody that wants to show. Oh, look at that. We got a youngster in the house. We're starting them early. I tell you, that's fantastic. Gonna be writing code in no time. Might be a little drooly, but it'll be great. Okay. All right. Let's get ready, everybody. 3, 2, 1. Wave. All right. Show how awesome you are. Looking great to see everybody. Whew, looking great. Excellent. See Guido down there and Natalie, you all look awesome. Looking great. Looking great. Okay. All right. Well, that is that. So, Gary, let's get back to the slides, hopefully, and move on to our presenters.
Let's go, go, go.
All right. I see them. So we're looking good so far.
Perfect. Great. Okay, so we are at the important part of the call. Time for demos. So our first demos are from DeAndrea and Nicole. And yeah, guys, take it away.
Thank you very much. So I will share my screen. Hi, my name is Nicole. Yep. You see it?
Got it. Yep.
Perfect. My name is Nicole, and I work in corporate communications at La Mobilière. I'm responsible for our intranet, and I'm also the product owner for the development of our intranet solution.
My name is Nello Andrea. Just call me Nello. I know it's always a bit difficult with my name. I've been a software developer for over 35 years and spent the last 15 years working with SharePoint. Saying that I love SharePoint is quite an understatement. Back to you, Nicole.
Thank you, Nello. Yes, we work both for La Mobilière, the oldest insurance company in Switzerland, with 6,400 employees and 80 general agencies. We insure every third household and every third company in Switzerland. In our IT department, some 600 specialists ensure the smooth running of our systems and modernize our core IT systems. We use the latest technologies such as AI. We also developed our intranet internally with our Scrum team 2 years ago. So, one of my favorite solutions we will show you today, the multilingual document cards. We had the following challenge. Our content pages are all available in German and French. These are the most widely spoken languages in La Mobilière. All official documents are translated into Italian, some of them also into English. How could we get them all onto our content pages? We had three main objectives. Firstly, our Italian-speaking colleagues should be able to find the Italian documents quickly and easily on the German or French page. Second, all employees should be able to quickly see into which language a document has been translated so they can send it to our customers in their preferred language. Last but not least, we needed an easy solution for our publishers to maintain and update all these documents on our intranet. We are happy with the great solution that Nello has implemented for us. He's now showing us how it works, how to use it, and how he has developed it.
So the implementation is done with three different SPFx solutions, which works together. It requires only two additional columns. The first one is the language code, which specifies the language, and the language connection, which tracks which documents are linked together. The first solution is a field customizer installed in the document library. It helps the user understand when a document is connected or not and shows all the documents that are connected with this document. The connection is simply made with a GUID. When the GUID is the same for two documents, then the connection is established for these two documents. The second solution is a list view command set, which manages the connections between the documents. The list view command set writes or erases the GUID in the field. It also performs various validation. And the third and last solution is the web part, which renders document either in a card layout or list layout. It supports document across site collection and is optimized for performance. So now we'll switch to my development machine and do a quick demo and then dive into the code. So you see my screen? That's great. Do you see my screen? Yes, that's great. This is a document library where we have uploaded a couple of documents, and here you see we have a language field, which is a choice field, and also the language connection field, which is rendered from this field customizer. So for example, now I can copy the link, go to my page, grab the web part, edit the properties, just put this link, save it, and here is the card already rendered. So my preferred mode is to truncate the locale and so make it uppercase, and I save the page. And of course, this is the demo. It works the whole. It's great. Yeah, it's great. Do it here. Oh, fantastic. Great. Okay. Now I can also link the document, this document, with the three other documents, and the list view command set automatically activate itself, and I can create the language connection. I get an easy confirmation that the connection has been established. So now I have, from the German document, I have a link to the English and French document and so on. And if I go here and I refresh the page, yeah, I will get this this layout here. I don't know why, but maybe it's the zoom. I have had it on the wrong part here. That's the problem. I will do it another time so you see the beautiful layout. Yeah. So here, just grab the link, which I already have here, and put this one away. Now I have automatically the new link. So I just have to refresh the page, and I can click here and go to the variation of the document. I can also choose between different layout here. You will see that we leverage PNP.js and PNP controls. Can say I want the list layout, for example, and also put these settings, and now I've automatically the new document. I can also remove the connection. So for example, I'm coming here and saying, okay, this document has been wrongly connected. I remove the connection, and now I just have two documents which are linked together. If I refresh the page, I will get only the two documents here. So great. Now let's dig into the code. The first solution is the field customizer. We have implemented always the same pattern and functionality across all our solutions. So you get, for example, a little custom logger which reacts to your parameter here. So if you are debugging, you will get more information in the console log. We have also all our solutions are configurable at build time. So you have some parameter which you can set. For example, if you need Comic Sans in your SharePoint Online solution, you can put it here. Or if you want to change the font size, the general font size, you can put it here. And this is also injected in the solution with this little class, which you can use everywhere in the React code and also in the SCSS or CSS definition. Now, the whole processing is done here. We get the documents which are linked, and if we have documents, then we render a document list. Otherwise, we render just that we don't have document. You will see here that we leverage always Fluent UI. We have also a functional component everywhere, and you can use this as it is. The second solution is the list view command set. Here the heavy lifting is done in the command set itself. So we have two very important methods. The first one is the onListView updated method, which controls what command is activated or not. The second one is the onExecute method. This one execute the write on the list item, so it generates a GUID or linked item together and perform also different validation. You can see, for example, that we check if we have different file type, because one card or one item is always of the same type. So if you try to mix a Word or the PDF, then you will get a little dialogue saying to you, it is not possible. The last solution is the web part. Here you can see that we have some always the same pattern. So we have an app context, which is a React context, where we pass all the parameters which should be available in the whole solution, or the React component. And if we need to pass the props down to the next component, we just use props. We also have here a specific specialty. We believe that the user should see the content in his own language. So if you are in a multilingual SharePoint environment with German and English page, when you see the content on the German page, you see only German text or German generated text. And if you are on an English page, so you use the language switch of SharePoint, then you will see also only English content. In this method, you can see that we always calculate the language at the beginning of the instantiation of the SPFx solution. We get it from the page context. We grab it from the item, and if we are in a multilingual setup, then we take it from the page, otherwise from the site language. And then we prepare the solution accordingly. Just a few words about our solutions. They are published under the account of our company, so you can grab the solution. They are open source. MIT, we have published this yesterday. You will find various documentation in README files. We also documented how you can install the solution, whether you want to use a dev container with a backend app registration or build and deploy locally. It is all described here, and you can use it as your convenience. Thank you, Nicole. Back to you.
Thank you, Nello. So here we again, the link to Nello's GitHub solution. If you want to read more about this document cards, you can find on puntobello.ch my blog post. And if you have any questions, you can connect with us on LinkedIn or GitHub. So
Awesome.
that was it from our side. Thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, we are here.
Awesome demo, fantastic. And I understand this is your first call as well. So everyone, please give a fantastic welcome to both Nicole and Nello as well. I understand it's not going to be your first either. You have some more planned for us. It was really great to see, great solution, fantastic use case as well. So yeah, thank you very much. And we look forward to seeing you again. Okay, let's move on to our next demo. So up next we have Marcin. So accelerating app development, introduction to Vite and SPFx. I'm very interested in this. I've used Vite. I really like it. So this is going to be an awesome demo. Marcin, over to you.
Thank you very much. Hello. Maybe a very quick intro, or maybe disclaimer, I would say. There are developers, opinionated developers, and somewhere up here, there is me. So everything I will show today, and hopefully in 2 weeks, if I remember correctly, is highly opinionated, and hopefully you will find it useful. But if you would figure out that, oh, Marcin, that's completely not my case, it's quite possible. It may not be your exact case. But without any further ado, let me actually share a little bit with my screen. Lovely. Oh, allow. Yes, I would like to allow Teams to handle my desktop. Can you see it?
Yep, I've got that.
Yeah, lovely. Absolutely lovely. So let's start from the beginning, because I will have a proper presentation. Vite plus SPFx, so how to build a little bit faster. First of all, a few words about myself. My name is Marcin. I'm Microsoft MVP in Employee Development. Currently, I'm a competency center leader at Avenga. You can find me on LinkedIn. I blog a little bit. I have my GitHub sample repo, which you may find a few useful things, maybe. And I am at X, Twitter, however it's now called. And a big shout out to Brian. I will not share surname because, first of all, I don't want to create a GDPR incident, and second of all, I'm afraid I may mispronounce the surname. But the reason I'm presenting this here is because Brian reached out to me and we started talking a little bit, and he actually said that, you know, Marcin, this is a nice idea. I like it, so maybe we should present it. This is why I'm presenting it. First of all, let's talk a little bit about the problem I'm trying to solve. If you build a bigger SharePoint Framework solution before, I'm quite confident you've seen this. So you configure the Webpack in 1 minute, Beck Webpack takes 1 minute. It is a bit difficult to keep that, you know, nice, fresh, quick feedback loop. So it is, from build perspective, a little bit difficult to go fast, especially on big solutions. And to be fully transparent, I don't believe there is anything Microsoft people can do about it because of how SharePoint Framework works. I was thinking about how you can speed it up. I know we have that lovely SPFx fast serve, but it's still not as fast as previously simple app you created with Create React app, or now with Vite. It's like Vite is completely different league when it comes to performance of build and development in general. That hot reload, absolutely amazing. Second problem I'm trying to solve is the reusability of the code and components. In particular, even today, demo before, we've seen absolutely amazing solution, which is part web, part command set. Soon, I do hope we will have a little bit more cases with those adaptive web parts and the new lovely quick view. So reusability may be a problem if you haven't already thought in your solution that, oh, I want to use base SharePoint context, not web part context. It can get a little bit difficult to actually reuse your code across even whole Microsoft stack. And of course, there is the case of your SharePoint framework web part is so great, so amazing that people want to use it outside of SharePoint and build a whole line of business app around it. Which brings me to my third point, which is SharePoint context. And I remember quite vividly 2 or 3 years ago, there was a very interesting blog post by Wojciech Mastykarz about at what level your code should depend on SharePoint context and SharePoint artifacts in general, which was a little bit more. Maybe the blog post itself did not provide like hard answer, do this or do that, but provided very important information, try to limit the amount of information you get from context and pass to your components only subset of context. Why it's important? Because it decouples a little bit our solution from SharePoint itself. Finally, there is my, I would say, nemesis a little bit, and this is service scope. I'm not sure how popular service scope based implementations are in general in community, but this is on one hand very powerful, on the other very tricky to properly implement effectively design pattern or implementation pattern, because on one hand service scope gives you a very nice and fast possibility to get the dependency you need. On the other hand, if you are using any kind of service locator implementation, you are always hiding what actually your component and your classes depends on, because they depend only on service scope. And finally, if you know me, and some people here on the call I see knows me already, I'm quite big on testability. If you ever tried running unit tests in SharePoint framework, you know it's quite difficult, mostly because there are things like service scope, SharePoint context that you have to very formally mock using either just mock or vmock. It's a complex thing, difficult thing, and it makes the whole entry point for unit testing in SPFx, it sets it quite high. So this is, well, those are the problems I wanted to solve. Hopefully that makes sense. And by the way, if you have any questions, I'm monitoring chat. I will try to answer those questions as soon as I can. Next, the solution. So what came to my mind was following. I actually don't need SharePoint to implement solutions on SharePoint. And I know this is a very strong statement, but when you think about it, a lot of web parts we implement, at least I implement, are isolated, self-contained. And my idea was following. If I could create simple app using Vite, React app, build my whole app in React, and then just export it as a package, import it to my SPFx solution, I can do most of my development in Vite with that super fast hot reload with all of the magic around it. Then I use Rushstack because, why Rushstack? Because SPFx already uses Rushstack, and there is beautiful, lovely, good configuration file that I know will always spit out the library in format I can use in SPFx. Thanks to that, it also forces very important and interesting thing. It forces that I have no direct dependency on any SharePoint framework component, which effectively means if I want to run at some point this app outside of SharePoint, let's say in static web app, I can. So I can effectively get everything I had in my SharePoint framework web part and put it somewhere else. It will work. It will be lovely. And because of that few tricks in Sun we can implement, it will even work almost like a single sign-on. So the authentication will be very, very fluid, very nice. Next, I can control the interface. And by interface, I mean not only the user interface, because I have a little bit more control over that, but also the interface I want to use as my dependency, so the programmatic interface, yes. So this is exactly what Waldek mentioned in his blog, that I can control what kind of properties, either from context or from SharePoint HTTP clients I can use. And why I like this approach? Because I hate, I would use that word, I hate that HTTP client configuration.v1. I understand why it's implemented, I get it, it's important, but I'm always using that in v1, so why not just cut the HTTP client interface and put that into implementation details. And finally, with this approach, I can put my components either in SharePoint, maybe I want to put them as an Outlook app. Maybe I can go crazy and put it as a Confluence, what's called, widget. Or maybe I want to put it somewhere in a SAP portal. So suddenly the functionality implemented for the web part can be put anywhere as long as we can put JavaScript there. I like this. I consider this approach good and nice. Without any further ado, let's jump into the code. All right. Here is the code. But before the code, let's first of all see what we are doing here. And I got a little bit tired of building samples with Graph API and me endpoint or search endpoint. So for this case, we'll have something that I hope all developers have access to, because we are connecting to Dataverse from our app, and we are using out-of-the-box tasks list. Do not use that in production. I'm actually not sure if that list is used somewhere else. I just wanted to have something you can spin up, run npm start, and you will have the same experience as you see right now. So first of all, as you can see, we are hosting that locally on my local host. We have our task list. That task list, as I mentioned before, is obtained from Dataverse tasks table. We have some tasks. We implemented task card. Here we implemented some edit things, lovely. We can create task even better. Very nice. Now we want to put it as a SharePoint web part. So once again, here we have our debug mode, as you can see, and this is effectively the same component. Yes, we have our card, our edit, save, discard, whatever. It's working the same way. So the natural question would be, okay, Marcin, how it happened? How did you do it? Let's start from the beginning. This is my startup project. So this is the actual app I created using Vite. Vite. Here is my Vite config, a little bit about testing. Lovely, lovely, lovely. We have our source. In our source, I have component. In particular, I have my tasks list. As you can see, tasks list is actually a React functional component. What we are doing here, we are using task service. Let's take a look at that lovely thing. And task service effectively handles the communication with database. You may ask me, okay, Marcin, that's very nice, but how did you handle the authentication? And actually, how do you provide the database client? So in the demo before, we also used React context. We are using hooks defined at React context level. Here I have that use database, and we can use the database because in our app, if I'm going too fast, let me know. In our app, so entry point, we do have authentication context provider, graph context provider, and of course, database context provider. For authentication context provider, I am providing our authentication service, and I don't want to make it commercial of my library, but I'm using implementation from my library. Again, it's highly opinionated. If you want to check it out, maybe you will find it useful. The idea behind it is to effectively provide interfaces for reusable parts of SPFx, I would say. So you'll find there a little bit about authentication, a little bit about search, a little bit, of course, about HTTP clients as well. So we do have our authentication service. I define my client ID, internet ID from my environment variables right here, and database resource is also from my database from my environment variables. Once I have that provided, my task list can, of course, use my database client. You may ask, Marcin, what's the database client? So let's jump into my context, database context. And here, as you can see, as context props, I have client and resource, and the client is built using authentication provider. If we have authentication provider, we are using new authenticated HTTP client, and the authentication is based on auth provider. So I mentioned before that interfaces a little bit more with separation so let me rephrase. I discussed interfaces so we can control how we actually interact with other components. So in that case, our authentication provider use authentication. Let's check it out. Our authentication provider is very simple. We just need something that will run get access token. In particular, authentication service has also that resource parameter, so we can get access token for different resources. And of course, here you can already notice that we are actually we have the same signature of that service as we have in SharePoint IAD token provider factor or token provider. I don't remember the name. We will get to that in a second. So we have our interface for authentication service, and in database context, we have also our interface for HTTP client, which once again is very similar to the signature of SP HTTP client, IAD HTTP client, HTTP client, all of that magic from SharePoint, but without that version tag. Lovely. So here is our app. Our app runs, and to give you a little bit of context, let's say I would like to add on Hoover transform of scale. Lovely. I save it, and I hope it's already. Oh no, I have to refresh really, or it doesn't work at all because I made a typo. Are we running? Oh, of course, transform, not transform. And here you go, you can see that once I hover, there is that very subtle scaling. And the feedback loop, quite fast, quite nice. Let's now use this, use the thing in SPFx solution. What I've done here is I added in my package.json Rush stack compiler, and somewhere there should be also Microsoft SP build web, which will bring us the proper configuration for Webpack. In package.json, I also have a build for SPFx, which is a good build, and here replace import meta. Implementation detail, we'll discuss this a little bit more in 2 weeks. Once we build it, we can npm link it to our second solution, which is database tasks SPFx. Our database task SPFx already used npm link to our package. Thanks to that, oh, I'm not sure if you should see that. Please don't use that against me. But we are getting things from our linked library, so database tasks. And what we are doing in Webpack render is following. We are building our authentication context provider, graph context provider, and database context provider. And here we are using, which is the most important part, we are using token provider from our AAD token provider factor. Thanks to that, we get that single sign-on and consistent authentication experience in SharePoint. The rest of that, or everything else, is already handled in our contexts. Thanks to that, we can actually render our database tasks, which is just tasks list from our component library. And on that note, I see I have 4 minutes left. I believe this is a great moment to put a stop. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me. If not, I believe that would be all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Marcin. Great example of how you can use SharePoint Framework in very different ways. Great presentation showing, you know, the problem and the solution that you've come up with as well. Fantastic. Thank you very much for sharing. And yeah, if you've got any questions, please drop your questions in the chat or just send Marcin a message. I'm sure he'll be more than happy to answer. Okay, let's get back to the slides. So yeah, let's just thank you to our amazing speakers today, 2 great demos. If you have good feedback, you have indifferent feedback, you have negative feedback, we want to hear from you. Either way, we want to make these calls as good as they can be. So if you do have feedback, please provide that at aka.ms/community/calls/feedback. It will be most appreciated. We also have a community hangout. This is our official Discord server. So if you are doing anything on M365 Power Platform, this is a great place to join in with others, collaborate, use it as a space to communicate, ask questions, get answers, and just share your general knowledge. So if you are interested and you're on Discord already, if you're not, sign up. It's really easy. You can join the Discord server, aka.ms/community/discord, or even if you have your phone right now, you can scan that QR code and join the community. And it's great. It's ever growing, 2,200 members already. That is a huge number of people across all different backgrounds, different industries as well, with expertise across all of M365 and Power Platform. And thank you for attending today. Again, thank you for encouraging our speakers as well, asking questions. So this recording will be available in 24 hours on the new Microsoft Community Learning YouTube channel. So you can get to that from the link aka.ms/community/YouTube. If you haven't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Make sure that you don't miss any videos that get uploaded to this channel. If you want to keep up to date on all the latest updates as well across M365 and Power Platform, you can go to X, go to Microsoft 365 dev handle or the M365 PMP handle as well. The next installment of this call, the next Viva Connections and SPFx call, will be September the 19th. Our next Microsoft 365 and Power Platform call will be September the 12th. And as always, you can get information about all the community calls that are taking place on a weekly basis if you go to aka.ms/community/calls. And with that, we are bang on time. Thank you very much for attending today's call. We hope you have a great rest of the day. Thank you and bye-bye.